Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me. To get started, why don't you tell the audience about yourself?
Hello, audience. I am Christian Plourde, and I'm doing this interview with Noah because recently, April 4th, 2022, I released an album called Songs consisting of 12 songs, all very heart-wrenching, some fun, and some pretty awful, but they're my songs and I love them.
What inspired you to start making music?
Someone came and dropped off some guitars and banjos at my house, and I was like, I need to learn how to play these in case I'm ever at a party and there's a guitar there and just someone's waiting to be the life of the party. I was like, I'm gonna be that guy that plays the guitar at the parties. Didn't work out because I don't go to parties, but I still learned how to play guitar, and then basically everything fell in line. Noah bought a bunch of recording stuff. I was a very bad boyfriend to several women, and so I got broken up with, and then I started making music.
Have you been making music before you released your album?
In my life, I've always tried to put stuff out, probably for 4 years now, but it's nothing ever came into nothing ever. I was able to get it to a place where I was happy with it. So I never put anything out until this year when I, started getting vocal lessons, and I learned a lot more about editing to where I got things where closer to where I wanted to be. And then I just put out a bunch of music. So yeah.
Tell us about the creation of songs, the album.
Well, I would say these songs that I have are kind of I didn't sit down and be like, all right, here's the album title, here's the songs I want in it. It kind of was just I just make music. Every once in a while I'll just pick up a guitar and write something. And so then I just started recording it over the years, and then I decided to group these specific songs together out of the many I have, because these were the okayer ones, and then I put them together, and that's how I made the album. But most of it was very sporadic over the course of 3 years. Well, 2 years with all these, because 3 years back you don't want to hear any of that stuff. Well, the song Another Shot in the Dark, I had been hanging out with some friends. They were like, oh, let's go to this girl's house that you used to kind of have a thing with, and just go to her house. And so we did, and we knocked on the door, and she came out, and then all my friends were like, oh, give her what you prepared to give her, tell her. And so I didn't prepare anything, obviously. And so I stood there for 5 minutes and went through the whole storyline of Moana just to tell her I'm sorry for the way I treated her. And her dad watched the whole thing on his Ring camera, which I thought was cool. And then I came home that night, and I just was out of that emotion of standing before someone used to and kiss, and it was it was really awkward but still exciting. And so I came home and just had it set me in the perfect mode to make a song, and so I just wrote and recorded that song that one night. So that was a fun experience.
What's your favorite song off the album?
Favorite song is probably Living, reminds me of Life with You, or Fine on My Own. Fine on My Own is really cool because it's I always make breakup songs because I'm always fresh out of breakup, and so it's always sad, want you back type stuff, and that gets really boring after a while. And so I got to a point where I was just you know what, I'm fine on my own. And I went in the studio after seeing that it's just some I don't know, I saw something that inspired me to go in and record Fine on My Own. And I wrote that song in one night as well. Different variations. So I'll record a song, and then the initial, I'll throw everything that I want in it, and then the next week I'll edit it all, and then everything will get cycled out for new instruments, and then I'll have to replay things because I'm never really that great in the spur of the moment, but I throw a bunch in, and then I basically cut back.
Would you say life experiences inspire a lot of your songs, or all of your songs?
Yeah, absolutely, all the songs. For music, for me, dude, it came at a perfect time in my life. I guess before I really had experienced anything, because it was just I was just a kid, because it came to me when I was like 8 years old. As in came to me as in like I started learning off YouTube and like really liking Ed Sheeran. So it came at a perfect time to where if anything good or bad happened, I had something to turn to that, you know, was like therapy for me, and it really, really helped throughout the years.
Speaking of Ed Sheeran, this thing just came up. I got a lot of questions saying Ed Sheeran asked him to marry him. Would he say yes?
Yes, I would probably say, I would say yes, but then I have to file for divorce and repent for my gayness. But a couple weeks of marriage to Ed Sheeran would be okay for me. Cut that out.
Did you ever experience writer's block while creating this album?
I never say I have writer's block. If I have a hard time writing a song, that's just a song process. So it's like writing songs is hard. You have to write bad songs to get the good songs. So it's like if you're having a day where you're trying to write something and you like don't feel inspired but you want to write something, it's like you have to know your craft then. So it's like writer's block. I mean, sometimes you're not inspired, you know. I think and I don't like saying I have a writer's block because then I'm going to believe it and then I'm going to write something and be like, oh, well, it's not good because I'm in like writer's block right now. So I never say I'm in writer's block. Yeah, I would say no. I didn't experience that.
Will there be a Songs Volume 2?
Absolutely. That's why so I named it Songs because for my first album, I wanted to have something that I could build off of. And so it's not just like random. It's like, okay, if I do songs, I could do, it probably won't be volume 2. It'll be like some more songs or just more songs. So my first album, Songs, then my second album, more songs, then my third album, some more songs. And then I'm a career artist by that point, making billions, so.
What's the best piece of advice another musician has given you?
Well, I'd say I like to watch interviews with like Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran because they're like the top of the line people. What I've taken away from Ed Sheeran is that it's kind of what I just told you. He said that songwriting is like, it's like a water spout. When you first start pumping it, dirty water comes out and you have to keep pumping it to get to the clean water. And so like you have to write songs. Ed Sheeran wrote like 5 songs a day just to get all his bad songs out of the way and get into like, you know, perfect and thinking out loud. It's not like he could just sit down and think those up. He had to get rid of all these bad songs and like just by writing songs, you're gonna pick up lyrics along the way and you're gonna learn what works and what doesn't work. And what I learned from Taylor Swift was basically what I just said about the writer's block too. Sometimes you're going to be inspired and you're going to be able to sit down and make something. But other times when you don't feel inspired, you have to know your craft. So you need to know like song structure. You need to know like a little bit of music theory and how that's going to work in your song. And then when your craft and your, you know, inspiration come together, then you make great songs. So that's my 2 biggest takeaways, I think.
What's a piece of advice you would want to leave with the audience right now?
Get heartbroken. Okay, this is the best advice you're ever gonna get. Don't try to plan everything, okay? Let life come at you. And it's like, I heard Jordan Peterson say the other day, if you want to become a successful artist, or if you want your children to become a successful artist, die when they're 10, and they will become a very good artist, because pain is the best thing to bring on art. So don't be afraid of getting rejected, because you know why, Noah? Your music career will go way up. You need to get rejected, you need to get heartbroken, you need to lose all your friends for a little bit. And I think that helps because pain is the best motivator. I swear, pain has brought me to new heights. The other thing is with that pain, especially if it's from like rejection of like, you know, not like girls, but like real rejection from like a friend or something like that, you lose that fear of rejection. And that's a beautiful thing, because then you can just make pure art and you can express the way you feel and you can put stuff out there, because it's like you're not afraid of people rejecting it because you're already over that fear because you've been rejected enough.
That's great. Okay, that concludes this episode. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. That was fun. We'll do it again when I release something.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
See ya. You too.